It seems like the reflecting pool is reflecting a lot more than just the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. We're putting what's going on with the reflecting pool on the couch. What is going on at the reflecting pool? The spring came, the algae bloomed. That's what algae does. Turn the pool green. That's the simple explanation. But what came next, we don't have an explanation for. The park police, the National Guard, posted at the edge of a rectangle of green water, a 3-time Olympian detained for 5 hours, a reporter they wanted arrested. The machinery of the state sprang into action over a few inches of green water. So the question isn't why the pool turned green. We know why the pool turned green. It's why Donald has put so much energy into fighting the simpler explanation. We're going to end on a card as usual, and it's the 7 of Cups. And by the time we get there, you'll know why. You're watching The World on the Couch, where we put the daily news cycle through a psychological lens. And I'm Dr. Rick Reil. I'm a psychologist and a psychiatric nurse practitioner with 30 years of experience in the field. And this is my cat, the baby, and she took my chair. A reflecting pool has one job: to reflect. It takes in the light, it gives back an image. That's the whole function. You stand at the edge and the water returns the thing in front of it. A monument, the sky, your face. That's what makes it a reflecting pool. It reflects you accurately. It doesn't decide what to show you. It can't do that. It's a mirrored surface. And a mirror can only reflect what's put in front of it. You can't dictate what it gives back. That's not a flaw in the design. It is the design. This spring, Donald got a bee in his bonnet and decided to drain it and renovate it at quite the cost. He put a new surface on the floor, and he chose the color himself, American flag blue. Within days, it turned green. Algae lives on light. Give it still water, warmth, and the sun, and it grows. That's what it does. It's not a malfunction. It's the most predictable outcome there is. It's in a shallow basin, stagnant water, a dark surface pulling in heat, full sun. Donald built the conditions, and the conditions did the rest. And the filtration system that was supposed to prevent this algae, well, that actually hasn't even been installed yet. Now, for Donald to say the truth would cost him nothing. It isn't his fault that algae blooms. The water did what it did. Algae did what it did. But he could have said exactly that and walked away clean. But he couldn't. He said something else. So after the algae bloomed the first time, Donald said it was vandals, that people had gotten into the pool, that they were dumping chemicals in it, that they were doing whatever they could to ruin his work. Then the scramble. The crews came and they kept dumping hydrogen peroxide into the water, vacuuming the floor of the basin. And then came the park police, the National Guard posted at the edge of the pool. I know, it's your dinner time. They detained a 3-time Olympian. He was just on a bike ride and he stopped and reached in to feel a piece of the surface that had already peeled loose. And he let go when they told him to. He was detained for 5 hours. They also wanted to arrest a reporter, named him, said he tore the surface away when the video showed that the piece was already floating. Now, in my line of work, when we look at this kind of response against the size of the response or the size of the thing, you know, it was inches of water that had just turned green. It's happened before, and it was a living process. You know, it explains itself. Algae blooms. It's the summer. It's Washington, D.C. It's hot. It's humid. But this process was met with troops and chemicals and the cries of sabotage and enemies. This kind of disproportionate response raises alarm bells, because this isn't about what they say it is. It's not about a few inches of water. It's about something much, much deeper. So what we really have to think about here is why this response? When all Donald had to say was that algae's blooming and they're working on it, but he couldn't, because there's something deeper going on inside him. And part of it is that he wants to dictate what the reflection is. He only wants to let light into the things that he wants to show you. The rest of the stuff that might be humiliating, might make him seem like a failure, might make him look like he's not the perfect boss man that he thinks he is, he has to cover those up. And he goes all out to cover those things up. So when someone tries to get to something that Donald wants covered, he goes after you, like he went after that Olympian, like he went after that reporter. Because the plain truth is underneath. There's some deep, deep fragility. And he doesn't want you to see it. We're going to close with the Seven of Cups again. Not as a divination, but this is process, and this is why it shows up again, because these cards represent Bardo challenges. They're odd numbers, 7 is an odd number, and there's always a rebalancing, some sort of process that has to occur before you can reach some sort of equilibrium. But the process is still ongoing. Equilibrium has not been reached, and here we are again. Crowley called it debauch. The Seven of Cups, stacked and overflowing, and the water in them is green, just like the reflecting pool. It's stagnant. Crowley called this card splendor on the outside, corruption on the inside. Kind of hits close to home, doesn't it? The card has a second half, though. Figures rise off the clouded water, shapes that look like something that aren't there. The mind reaches into foul water and pulls out enemies, plots, attacks. None of them are really in the water. The water is just green. This is the pond. Flag blue on the surface, green underneath. The splendor was chosen. The corruption came up on its own. The figures are going to keep rising, and the water's going to stay green until Donald does his work. I'm Dr. Marlene Reil. Thanks for watching, and the couch is always open.